Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 5th edition of our director's commentary for the Lazarus expedition, or probably more appropriately, the commentary for the 5th episode of the Lazarus expedition. So, thus far, our party has arrived in Arcadia. They're on their way. They've met some people. They're starting to learn that this is an age where there are great people and there are little people, and they're not quite certain which one of these things they are yet. They're sort of working their way up the ranks, you could say. And they've been on the journey from Abelar to Belwind. It's a stretch of desert that takes, 7 to 10 days to cross, depending on so many different factors. Our party has taken a couple extra days resting in town, so it's going to be on the higher end of that. And I don't think there's any other introduction. Let's go with it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 5th episode of the Lazarus expedition. How are my favorite players doing? I could probably just be talking over him when he says that.
You're doing great today, Koibu.
Yes, thank you. Yes, we are.
And how are my backup players doing today?
I'm doing good.
Wow, you just admit it like that?
Wow. They just accept
I
it.
just
That's
accept
all
it,
right.
man.
It's the truth.
All right, so now this is going to be a hard question, but we can handle it. Where did we leave off last week? The reason...
We are.
You might think that the reason I asked the party where we left off last week is for the viewers. But it's not. It's never for the viewers. It's always for the players. Because people are busy. They've got lives. They've got careers. They've got jobs they're doing. They've got relationships they're managing. The reason we do the recap is for the players. So they remember what's going on and they can refocus themselves. It's never about the viewers.
Sunstrokes Pyramid. So we're heading up north towards the river. And we're being guided by a man named Heatstroke Pyramid. We're being guided by a man named Plax, and our destination is his hometown of Jan. Do you remember his hometown?
It's
A soul, some would it be?
Saboba.
Lub.
Neal knows though. Neal
You're headed
definitely
to
knows.
Belwind. That is the next
There we go.
town along the river.
Close.
Beyond
I got
that
very close, actually.
is the Badlands, which will have. We're going to skip ahead. The party recaps.
To life. We headed back to the town.
Recap. I guess you're the her hirelings. Dara, the person that hired you to escort her to a village. This is important. Villages down the way, will talk you up. She talks you up to the locals. She talks you up to the nearby passers. She mentions your fight with Flicker Red Scale. She mentions your fight with what was that? So this is the Age of Heroes thing. Once again, you're going to hear me talk about it 100,000 times. This is the hey, look, someone who saw you do great things is going to chat you up to these people. And you'll notice, we're going to go back a moment. The things that I listed are kind of important. Escort her to a village. She talks you up to the locals. She talks you up to the nearby passers. She mentions your fight with Flicker Red Scale. So right there, the locals and the nearby passers, which should have just been the passers-by or something like that. But the idea is the party's chilling in this town for a while, right? I think they were taking a long rest, or they're taking some sort of rest, a couple days rest or something. And there's people coming through the village occasionally, and Dara is talking up these heroes that have showed up here, and she's being like, look how great these guys are. Flicker Red Scale, these people in these cultists, it is a long rest, these cultists that they killed, this guy had a tentacle arm, he's trying to bring around the end of the world, look how great these people are. And this moment, this like sort of offhand 10-15 second conversation that I'm having with right here is the prep work for when they get to Belwind. People will know about them already. When they get down the road, people will have heard of them. And so they can arrive in a place and people will be like, oh my God, he's the person who fought so-and-so. Oh my God, they're the people who killed such and such. Wow, haven't you heard of them before? And finally, when they get to Belwind, because of Dara, who is hanging around with them in stars, if you read through my notebook, you would see that Dara is listed as the witness in like her character description. Because of this, everyone's going to start to hear about these things, and it's not because the players talk themselves up, it's because someone was there for the fight at Flicker Red Scale, and they weren't quite there for the fight with the Ponos cultists, but they were hanging outside and they saw the evil monster flee, and then they came in and saw the aftermath. So we're going to
it brings a great joy that
force down their throats a heroic status that they have not been wanting to seek for themselves, and they have actually been doing a pretty good job of avoiding the attention. They haven't been talking themselves up. They haven't been trying to, make a name for themselves, but they live in a time, or they're traveling through a place where at the time the local culture is to make a big deal out of people who do good things and who do great things. And so we're going to see that coming up when they get to the next aspect of real civilization. Or is it obvious that you're the Waystar and they're your followers?
I think it's obvious. We've also heard the name like Roy and the Waystars, which I guess like implies that they're Waystars even more so. But
and again, then I'm asking them like, how do you feel about the name, the Waystars? That's your family name. Do you feel comfortable with this? What's the dealio? This is a little bit of character reflection, and this is also coupled with, hey, Dara's talking you up. How do you feel about being known as this name? It's that like kind of reminder that this is who you are in the social area. You are, from the perspective of the society that you're traveling through, Roy and the Waystars.
First one being
which is just like a great band name.
Stemmy kind of feels like he held the line a little bit and kind of saved the day when all the chips were down. Our paladin was dying on the floor. Our main fighter was wrapped up in tentacles and being slaughtered in the dark. Roy was cowering in a corner. Only the mighty shield of Sturmir held back the dark tide and saved the day. So, number one, that kind of offense seemed to be reduced to a secondary sort of player in this. And additionally, the point you just made there, which is he's kind of gone his whole life not really enjoying the company of nobles, not really enjoying the protective blanket
this is good
that
stuff
one
from
could
Nick.
get by sucking up to the rich people in life. Being proud to kind of standing on his own 2 feet, having come from nothing. So he wouldn't like the association with the noble family. He doesn't like to be thought of as like somebody's man, so to speak.
So what do you do about this?
Then again, well, nobody here really knows who the fuck Roy is. So despite what he keeps telling himself, like nobody knows that that's what it is, if you know what I mean. So it's less concerned. But yeah, I don't think it's a name that Sturmir particularly.
So we're going to step away from the conversation that's happening. And the music that we've brought in for this moment, I believe, is the Adventure Supply soundtrack off of Tabletop Audio. And that is sort of, kind of the like theme music for this campaign. It's either that or the Distilled Tropical Beach. And we keep using it. And it's a really nice, gentle track. It's one of their newish ones. And it's a really great, like, people are hanging out and just chatting and getting ready. You can, like, there's sort of shot bells bringing the distance. The cash for this. And so we can just pick right up where we left off. Is that what we want to do? Was there something else going on? You can hear it's pretty gentle. It's not on very loud in this scene right here. But it's the sort of getting into the game. It's almost like the launch screen music that you might have for a video game. It sort of helps bring you into a more, not cozy, but like a gentle, we're all here, we're doing things together. It's got some like very nice, friendly, getting ready to go vibes, and I really, really like that track. We both saw him like flee out the front entrance, but what are they going to do about it? They're just like standing nearby holding the horse in the cart as this like man with a tentacly arm like runs past them into the desert.
Okay.
I wonder, is the news about what happened to the children now public knowledge after Cassian's stunt with the innkeeper at the end of last episode?
By the looks you get from people, I was trying not to worry about too much about that, but it's a very valid point that they bring up. Talked about publicly and openly.
But you can see
that's
the
too dark of a
cringing looks on
vibe.
people's
I'm
faces.
trying to
They
cultivate with this like
sadness
happy game
resting
start
in the eyes
music,
of
like
brothers and
hey everybody,
fathers.
we're gonna continue on our adventure. We're gonna get all the way to Bellwind. It's gonna be a day of travel. Spoilers, it's not a day of travel. We go wildly off the rails immediately. But the vibe that I'm trying to cultivate at the beginning of the show is like, let's not worry about the dark things that happened. You're getting a great reputation built for you by the witness who's hanging out with you, and you're gonna go and you're gonna make it to Bellwind today, and it's gonna be a fun adventure. Yay! And I'm trying to create the like fun adventure vibes. And the question about like, what about all the children that were sacrificed to the dark god? Does everyone know about the dark children sacrifices? And it's kind of a bummer. It's not the vibe I'm going for, but the campaign is always about whatever the players want to do, whatever the players want to ask. If the players are concerned about these sacrificed children, well, that's an important part of the story.
Think about it, I think. There's plenty of miles ahead of us yet.
Yeah. And Vasher will go back to being quiet.
What about you, Roy, Cassian? You guys feeling up for the road?
You know, I don't know if I can do this anymore. It's so every single time we go out there, one of us almost dies.
He's good. This is a good group. Everyone here has like solid role-playing chops, and they do a really good job of like
I've like
taking the spotlight and making it about them for a little minute and then handing it over to the next person. The chemistry here is solid. And I know sometimes I bitch about each of my players and their own specific reasons and their own specific ways. And I'm like, Pokemon challenges, my dude, you're not paying attention. Oh my God, Greenzer, I complain about all my players, but they're great. And this is a fantastic cast. And this is just one of those great examples where someone takes the scene for a moment and really like lays in some good lore, some good character background, and some good like feeling that the others can build off of. You know, they don't come and say, here is a thing and it is done. They say like, here is my part of this thing, and then they give everyone else room to work with it. It's extremely good.
I'm not saying, that we shouldn't do this and be the heroes and save more children from being slaughtered, but there's also the scroll and the slaves, and just maybe once we get done with that, maybe it's also at some point in time we go home again.
Once we get the scroll, we'll go home.
Yeah, so if we spend our time trying to find some tentacle guy and then get killed, that's not really going to help anyone back home, is it?
Roy's got a good point, Cassian.
Can we just idly sit by as evil is done right under our nose?
Great
Is
questions.
that the choice that we're making?
I suspect that Drakthar will be licking his wounds for some time yet.
Not after you take a long rest.
But we know what he can do. We know what he will do to children.
His goal isn't really to do anything to children. He's actually recruited children into his gang. The children are becoming the spellcasters. There is a slight misconception that's happened amongst the party that like he is finding children to sacrifice them. And I am content not to... Ooh, I think it restarted the whole VOD when I did that. I am content not to make a difference on that, not to correct anyone. And I'm content not to... maybe he will become a child sacrificer, right? Those kids are in a quantum state of having been sacrificed and being recruited and trained in another area. So, if it becomes like part of the game and part of the story that like he's just sacrificing children, well, you know what? He probably is sacrificing some children. He's probably recruiting some of them, and he's probably sacrificing some of them. And so maybe we'll see some children who were sacrificed showing up later. I guess they wouldn't show up. Or maybe we'll see him like stealing children out of towns or villages to do these sacrifices. I don't know. We'll see. But this is a misconception is not quite the right word. A narrative path that the party has a lot of reason to believe in. They have the evidence they've been given thus far kind of does point to child sacrifice. It just happens to not be correct in this situation, and that's great. I wanted to make Drakthar plain Bane an evil person, and I tried to say he was evil for, trying to destroy the world, and the party was kind of like, not that big of a deal. But children, that's a big deal. So if they have gotten to the same conclusion that I wanted them to get to by different means, then that's fine with me.
When I first met you, I didn't think you had the stuff of heroes, but you've got it.
Roy's gonna tear up a little bit at that, and then as he feels himself tear up, he's gonna start full on crying because he's remembering the 4 traumatic things that happened to him last week, and he's gonna start bawling about them again.
Stevia stands up. Actually, Basha, do you know what? I'll come with you. As I walk out, I shout to the barmaid, like, get him a drink. Pointing to Roy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll head out.
Should we leave him
Basha.
alone? I'll say as we walk out.
I think he probably needs to be alone. Cry out,
Yeah.
Kids are.
Yeah.
Roy's
Like a
just gonna
baby, you let them cry it out.
There you go.
alone
Yeah.
at the table, crying to himself, I guess.
We don't want to reward this sort of behavior, Russia.
No, you're right.
It's a good party. It's a good group.
Koibu, does
That's right.
anyone come to comfort Roy as he sits there alone, crying?
Make me a...
Patheticness check.
Yeah, that's like an inverted charisma check. You want to roll really low if you want to get comforted. No, sorry, buddy. No, Roy Waystar is too cool for anyone to come comfort him. It's one of the Waystars. Oh my god, he must have seen something serious. We should probably give him his space.
Right.
Fair.
Let's give their job up. All right, so we're gonna move on a little bit.
And we could do it under the guise of a sermon. Like I could put on a.
Right. So I'm trying to get the party out the door, but they wanna connect with this village a little bit more. This no-name village that they're going to pass and in theory never come back to, but had some traumatic events. And they're gonna stick around for a little bit and work with the village a little bit. A stranger coming in town trying to grab everyone's attention with these facets to make it happen.
I think I would tell the innkeeper that I'm a cleric and I'm planning to hold a sermon on Martha or whatever to remember the children that had died, and that we will speak to the people of the town and explain to them.
Let's just move on. Okay. This is good stuff. But I have the happy music playing because I'm trying to get them out the door. And this is just... It's fine, right? Where the players are looking is the story. And whatever you as the DM have as a plan, whatever you're like, ooh, this is what I think we should be doing right now, means absolutely diddly squat, because whatever the players want to do is what the game is. So this is where we abandon all of our plans that we had made, and we do whatever the players are interested in, because that's the game. Who is trying to summon a god into the world? Maybe we should go see what this holy man has to say. And I think probably, I guess this is going to be late in the afternoon on the day that you're about to set out. A portion of the town gathers forth to see what you have to say.
So I'm assuming the party is here at this time.
Yeah.
We're in a group. So I'll say to Vasha that I think you and Roy should go up there and explain what happened about in the caves with the kids. I'll go and do a little introduction, warm them up a little bit. You can go and talk, and then I'll just give a sermon after that.
Okay. Wait, do you want to do the sermon first, or?
I'll do the introductions, then you do the questions, then I'll make everyone feel better with the religious stuff.
I feel like we should soften the blow first, but if that's how you want to do it. What's the objective of this meeting? What is our...
Get the word out, get messages sent to the towns.
Okay. All right.
Include.
I bring this up in a minute, but the civilization here is spread out along a river. So there's towns in 2 directions. And if you really wanted to get the word out, you could just hire a messenger or hire someone to act as a messenger and just go the opposite direction of you. And then you would get the word out when you head in this direction, right? It's not like, you're in the middle of somewhere and it needs to spread everywhere. There are two paths. This is like a linear civilization. And not that getting the town to know about this is a bad idea, but in this particular situation, getting the word out is like, where we are going is the direction where we want to get the word out, and maybe also get the word out to behind us. So I think it doesn't hurt for everyone to be informed, but it's not like a complicated trade hub where if everyone in this place knows about something, then it's going to spread like wildfire, right? We're in a podunk backwater, and there's only two directions.
That we're looking for him.
Yeah.
And any information we'll pay for.
All right.
Can we pay for it? I don't know if we have the money for that, but
Didn't we get a bunch of gold from the...
Oh, did we? How much did we
Yeah.
get?
Everyone's character sheets has been updated. I don't remember what the total is after you paid for your...
I appreciate that as a foreigner here. It's unusual for me to address you in this way, but let me just start out by saying, I know that there's been rumors going around town. I know you all know that something happened out there in the desert, and I'm sure you've all got a lot of questions about that. And I pause for a moment and observe the crowd.
There are plenty of nods circulating.
Well, I might be a foreigner, but I'm a cleric, and I know the gods, and I know that you, as God-fearing citizens, know them too. Before we get into more comfortable matters and pray together, our leaders here of our little merry band, Vasha, the paladin, and Roy Waystar himself, the greatest mage this side of the...
Thank God, he's getting their names out there. He's talking about how great they are. He's the paladin. He's the greatest Waystar.
About what happened out there in the desert. Now, I will speak to the paladin and Cavernacle. Would like to speak to you. The Cavernacle. Waystar himself, the greatest mage this side of the Cavernacle.
Fuck is a cavernacle? I think he just made that term up or word up. There's a tabernacle, but what's a cavernacle? I don't think it's a thing. I think it's a made up word. We all roll with it. Because, like, he's trying to say, like, the greatest side of the on this side of the Mississippi, on this side of the Atlantic. Like, he's making he's trying to bring a little bit of world lore into the colloquial speech, which is great, and I love it. But I have no idea what a cavernacle is, and now I feel the need to insert a cavernacle into the world somewhere to make this one particular sentence make sense. So if you see something called the cavernacle somewhere, it's because he said this, and now something needs to exist somewhere.
Would like to speak to you and answer some questions about what happened out there in the desert. Now, I will warn you that those of you with a faint heart, or perhaps those of you who are intimately known with the children that went missing, may wish to avoid the details. Consider this a fair warning. And I step down off the plinth and motion to Vasha and Roy.
I nod to...
Plinth is a good word. Well done.
First, or shall I?
Roy will shake his head immediately at this immense social responsibility.
Right. Vasher will make his way to the impromptu barrel and climb up on top of it. And he'll kind of look out across the crowd, thinking about what the hell he's going to say here, because he hasn't done any preparation for the speech. But he says something to the effect of, I come here today with some grim news. A great evil took up rest outside of this village, not far to the northwest. And that evil stole some of your children.
They voluntarily joined.
It's not reasonable to ask a town such as this to take on the world's responsibility and fight these great
the audio track that we're using here is one of the tracks under the looming heading. If you take a look at our tabletop audio track use document, which you can find on regalgoblins.com in the toolbox, or you can find it in Twitch under the command ! Soundtrack. I think this is...
And I'll go quiet for a moment while the
It's not New Worlds. It's the Bobs of Understanding. It's the space one. I've heard this rumor, and people like reaching and holding the person closest to them to the side for a moment as the worst fears are confirmed.
So when the crowd quiets back down, I put a hand.
I think this one's called Gravity. Yeah, this is Gravity. And it's a great little track for, there's some sort of looming thing. There's some sort of building thing. You're kind of like raising some tension, but it's never really getting anywhere. You're just kind of like keeping people at that. Just a very light background rising something. And it's really good for this sort of stuff.
Selves, but the other people of the other towns nearby. I need you to get the word out and tell the warning of who Draktar Plaguebane is, his methods, what he does. Tell people that the Roy, and I nod at Roy, giving him credit, and the Waystars are hunting him down. And that if he is found, he's extremely dangerous. You need to protect the other towns from suffering a similar fate as you. And if you can, get a message to us about the whereabouts of Draktar, and we will come hunt him.
What happened to him? Calls out a voice.
He escaped in the combat.
No, the kids! What happened to the kids? How did they die?
I'll go quiet. And I'll say, it's better that you don't know. That's... But they didn't suffer much. Okay, he might have told a slight lie there. He's just...
They might not have suffered much. We don't actually know how they died. We don't even know if they're really truly... I mean, we think they're dead, but we don't know what the sacrificial process is like. There was like a blood-stained rack, but it could have been fast.
At disadvantage to see if... Or what would you... To see if people believe me when I say that. Because I'm very obvious. I can't hide my...
A deception check, yeah.
Deception, okay. At disadvantage. Yeah, no, they don't believe me.
They didn't suffer much. Yeah. The crowd erupts into moans and groans and sighs of pain. It's very clear that you've been caught in this lie. We're gonna skip ahead a little bit.
Do you want a performance check for those? Revenge and making the people who did evil pay. He wants to reference and tell one of the stories that he used to read all the time for this. Do you want a performance check for those?
Either a performance check or tell me a story. Roy has a lot of like wanting to reference in-game stuff. That was a loud dog. Which I really appreciate. I like that he says, I want to tell him a story about a time something similar to this happened. And this is one of those areas where I want to find a way to give my players the tools to do that. But they don't necessarily know. Like Roy, Pokemon challenges, Jan doesn't necessarily know a lot of Arcadia lore. So he has a hard time, pulling something from that. And I want to be able to empower my players to say, like, just make up a story about the world and, use that as an example. which is a little bit problematic sometimes, because if they make up a story and it's too important of a story and they're like, and then the gods came down to the world and they did this thing and it destroyed the entire continent of blah blah blah, and you're like, hold on, okay, man, wait, this is too much lore that you're spouting here, buddy. Like I can't manage all of this. No. So you want to be able to give them power to create lore, but you also want to temper it. And that's always a difficult line to walk. In this particular instance, Pokemon Challenges just rolls a performance check rather than relating a story, which is a fantastic solution to this problem, where you're just like, I'm going to tell them a story, and this is the moral of the story that I'm telling them, and then here's my performance check, and that's great. Love that approach.
In life that make us who we are. I certainly know that. And I know that you, living out here in this place, you understand that as well. And this is why we must give thanks to the gods, for the world that we live in is a bleak and dangerous place. And
yes, it is.
That guides us through, that gives us the strength to get out of bed each day when things look grim, when the larder is empty, when the crops are dry. It is Martha that gives you the strength to cling on to your life and stand up and say, not today. Today, I will farm those crops. And I would like to lead you in a sermon now.
It's very Churchillian.
The lives of the children that were lost will give praise to Martha. We'll give praise to Nadinus. We'll speak to their good deeds and how they've helped their families. And I'll invite...
See, Nick has had enough experience with Arcadia lore to just like be spouting these gods' names off and like calling them out and finding, pulling a god and putting him in the right place and grabbing some imagery there and shoving it into this other thing. He's very well versed at this.
And so I will go into I'll speak a little bit about the light that youth brings to the world, and I'll invite people up to speak. Wait,
sir, you can try your nudes.
You play.
Oh, we know there's cities around here who like host these kinds of people. They don't know anything like
abandoned temples in the area. And that's sure. I mean, what's the plan, guys? Are we just going to carry on in the direction that Plax was taking us, or do we want to make an effort to try and track this person down?
Perfect. Exactly where we want to be. We're half an hour into the game, which is usually like an eighth, but in this situation, it's a sixth of our entire session. And we've got the critical question of, do we continue our quest or do we continue the side quest?
I think if we want to track him down, our best bet is to find out someone who knows like abandoned temples in the area, abandoned buildings. I doubt this guy's going to go to a city.
Abandoned temples, abandoned buildings. I've tried to make a point that this is early stages of the world, so there's not a lot of abandoned stuff. That said, the world is a few thousand years old, so there is some abandoned stuff lying around.
There might be only a few places that he could hide. We could potentially try and root him out.
I mean, for all we know, there's cities around here who like host these kinds of people. They don't know anything like.
Yes, there are.
The biggest city we've been to so far was like, yeah, you know what? As long as you do your shit outside the city bounds, we don't give a shit.
Yes, that is how it works around here.
Like you can be a murderer outside, just don't do it here.
Yes, that is exactly how it works in these parts of the world.
Even they would host him, I feel like.
They absolutely would host him.
You think? Like walking around with a big tentacle arm and like a fucked up face like that?
Hey,
maybe
people here are less racist than back home. I don't know.
Was there
They are.
anyone from the sermon that stood out to me, Neal, as like
I mean, they're slave owners and they're enslavers, but they're surprisingly not racist. It's a very different, you can own people, but like all people are welcome and all people are welcome to be owned. It's very different than the real world's modern history or just slightly pre-modern history of slavery.
An authority figure in the town, even just a respected elder person that you alluded to.
Yeah, there was the old man retired hero. He's probably the most respected of the group.
Then maybe after the sermon, I would go up to him and say, friend, I can see that there's some respect for you around here and that you've got a lot of experience dealing in these kind of heroic matters. We're trying to formulate a plan to track this guy down. Would you help us brainstorm?
I'll do my best. This is another one of those like NPC. Help us brainstorm, which in effect is like Dungeon Master. Can you tell us where to go? But at the same time, like the players don't know anything about the region, so what are they going to do? They have to ask the locals for help because they wouldn't know where to go. But when you're just like NPC, tell me, it's tough. So the best that I've been able to come up with is an approach where you give them like 4 or 5 answers that are all sort of maybe equally plausible, without saying directly, this is the thing, unless you really, really want to push them in that direction very quickly. And then you can say, well, this is the only one that would actually make sense.
Thank you. Thank you. Experience is a great gift.
Yes.
You should be thankful.
Yes, you get the most experience when you do things on your own.
You know what I'm talking about here, right?
But sometimes you must lean on the experience of others, even though it generates less experience for you.
Talking about if you figured this shit out on your own, I would give you more XP. But if you are going to ask NPCs to solve your problems for you, then you're going to get less XP.
True. That is wise words. I lead him over to our group. And I look around the faces of my companions to see if anyone has anything to say.
Well, are you content to stay here?
No. We want to look for the man, for this Drakthar. He was held up in an abandoned temple out to the northwest. I was wondering if you or perhaps anyone
actually wasn't an abandoned temple. They were in the middle of constructing that. And we talked about that. It was a temple under construction a few times. Although I think the temple assets sort of maybe made it look like it was abandoned and ruined. But I tried to go out of my way to be like, they're building it. And I've tried to go out of my way to be like, look, everything's in a phase of construction. The world is being created right now. The infrastructure, the cities, the temples, even the sacrificial pits, they're all being built right now. I've tried to do this so that it's there's not a lot of abandoned stuff going down.
Anyone else in the town maybe knew the land quite well around here. Perhaps there's sort of an obvious place he would go to hide.
Oh, well, I didn't have anything planned. So when the old man is kind of dotty and not knowing answers, it's because I'm generating storylines in my heads for these different places on the fly.
All the good spots are usually occupied by some bandit gang or brigands or...
That's the first thing that comes to my mind is like, well, if there is like an abandoned temple or some great place that you could, flee to and start a cult in, someone's probably taken it, So the good spots, they're already taken. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Or cultists and... So much changes pace so fast. It's hard to know.
I'm also trying to point out that, like, he's an old guy. He hangs around town. He doesn't get out very much. Things change, wherever it is that you happen, whatever might have been the truth 10 years ago might not be the truth now. A bandit gang could move into a cave last week and this guy wouldn't necessarily know about it. So he's not a great source of information, but he might be able to lead you into a couple, maybe 5 or so broad ideas, and they might not work out.
I could give you a half dozen places that might be suitable, and you could go take them one at a time.
But we're going to have to take them one at a time here. You're not going to be... It's not going to be a quick thing. We're going to have to take a real quest to hunt this guy down. Like, the hunt of the person is a quest in and of itself.
And search for them, but you might find other things and other people there instead of Mr. Plainbane.
What do you say, Vasha?
Mrs. Plainbane? What's the proper honorific for this villain?
I keep forgetting that Drakthar Plainbane is a female character. Somehow the name Drakthar is just so masculine that I always refer to her as him.
It.
That's also a valid, who at this point, when you are infused with some sort of evil demonic energy and you've got an arm that sort of acts on its own and takes its own actions every round, like, maybe gender is not the thing by which we should define you anymore. Maybe you are just some sort of mutant monster, and it is a much more appropriate term for you.
It is. How do you...
I don't know. I don't know how fruitful will it be if we just go around searching every single possible.
He said only half a dozen, Vasher. It's only 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but how far are they? How many are they? I feel like we're digging around with no real direction.
It'll be weeks of adventuring.
That's a big problem for us.
It'll take time.
If only a cultist had survived, we could have maybe asked questions.
We could ask. We could ask our friend which direction they left to. That's a good idea.
That could narrow it down. Is Dara near us?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find her.
I'll pull over Dara.
They say that this is a great idea. Ask the people who saw him flee which way he went. Fantastic idea. Good job, Mr. Mooten. Plax went west, upriver. Mm-hmm.
Drakthar, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Drakthar. Sorry.
Upriver, that's the way we were going to go anyway, right?
Sure, but I mean, they came out the building and then they went. So I'm trying to be like, well, just because he went upriver doesn't mean that's like his end destination. Like he just happened to be going that way, even though he did go upriver. Because I'm trying to sow little seeds of doubt. I don't want to just say, here's the answer. And maybe this is a seed of doubt that I needed to not have sown. I could have just said, Plax saw Drakthar go upriver. And that probably would have been fine. But instead, I say one of, 8 possible directions. But who knows for how long they held that course.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't need to sow that much doubt. I could have just said she went upriver, and that would have been good.
What locations do you know up there?
Yeah.
Oh, there's many towns along the way. There's the hills that are a little farther to the south. Some of those hills cross up a little bit. There's a couple of... there's an oasis out there. That's got a little cave nearby it. Sometimes people or creatures take up in the cave. I think there's a Hydra that was living there recently, but this Drakthar could easily take a Hydra by the sounds of it.
That statement is the old man being like, oh, I've heard about this, person who's trying to end the world and all this stuff, and I think these people are so great, and like wildly overestimating Drakthar's abilities. And that might be a instigating factor in the rest of this session.
I don't think that's true.
It's not. It's really not.
Hydra, then so can we, I guess. So.
He has methods of persuasion, evidently. Maybe he can bend this beast to his will.
Possibly. Well, let's see. There are some caves in the hills as well. There's an old watchtower. I think it's pretty knocked down, though. Let's see.
It still have a basement.
Are the caves to the north or the south?
To the south, the river's to the north, sir.
I feel like I'm getting confused by the same thing for about 10 years at this point, Neal. But when you say down
the river goes east to west. East is downriver, west is upriver.
Okay, and the hills are to the south. So that's
not
the
hills
direction.
Are to the south.
That's not the direction we saw him going. So maybe we try this oasis. Maybe we ask in the next town along the river.
So west is the direction we were already heading, right? Yeah. Yeah, I think we head west to the next town, see if they heard anything. If that's the direction he ran from the cave.
I don't know why I used my old man voice when he's clearly talking out of character, but it tickles me.
And it's closer to that oasis and some of those other locations. That's the best we can do. Continue our journey, but search along the way.
Great idea.
Where is the oasis exactly?
Oh, well. Okay, so if you imagine you've got like a river running east-west, and there's these hills down here to the south. And then beyond the hills are some plains, and there's a forest. I think he mentioned that there, or someone mentioned it somewhere. The oasis is going to be on the way to the hills, or on the way to the plains further beyond. And so just as a concept, like the oasis is not along the river. If it was near the river, it wouldn't be an important tool at all. Its importance lies in that it is a waypoint to get water out as you're traveling through the desert. He ponders. Not sure how to. You'd need a guide to take you there. It's
Flax,
hard
do you
to
know where it
describe
is?
directions in the desert. Flax shakes his head. No.
Well,
The whole town's gathered here, right?
The town's outside. Yeah, you could
I'll go
get
outside
to
and I'll
anyone.
ask. Yeah, I'll just do a big.
Excellent. Hey, we need a guide. Well, I'm just gonna go ask for a guide.
Does anyone know where the oasis is?
Yeah, someone here
kinda describe
will offer to guide you to the oasis. Because these wonderful heroes, they just avenged the deaths of their children. Absolutely. In question.
I'll bring him in.
Mhm.
What's your name? French fry.
So, as you may know by now, I get my names for my random NPCs either off of the list of names submitted to the Save or Die Patreon. Because if you're a patron on Save or Die, for the Save or Die campaigns, there's like a spot where you can submit names that'll be used in game. But I think at this point we've used them all. And so now I'm just looking at something in my room and grabbing a name. And I happen to find a check on my desk that has the business's address on it as Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Phoenix.
monitor. Oh shit.
Which at the time I was just like, it's a city name, grabbing it, and then after I said it, I'm like, oh, that's a creature name in D&D.
Wait, it's a good name on this motherfucker. You're Phoenix?
Yes, I am, he says.
Where'd you get the name from?
My mother,
Why'd she name you that?
because it's a cool name.
Can't argue with that.
It's like the,
Why'd your mom name
the
you?
story.
Yeah.
The Phoenix and the Raven, and he will start telling.
And
the
they hear
story
you
of the
spouting a
Phoenix
little
and
bit
the
of lore. I assume the Phoenix and the Raven's not a story from anywhere else, but
I've heard that
story so many times.
And you'll lead us into the desert?
Yeah.
Let's go.
What are you smirking about, Neal?
He made a cool character, Nick. He doesn't get to do that very often.
It's murderous sometimes.
Right. Well, is the oasis beyond the next town or before the next town?
It's like it's away from the next town. It's not on your way to the next town, but technically it is before the next town, but like you're going in the opposite direction. You're heading south instead of heading west. You don't go along the river. We head out into the desert, south towards the hills. Good job, Phoenix.
Well, Vasha, you're our leader. What do you say?
I think I made my position clear. We should head west along the river to the next town. Unless, well, we should probably check the oasis first. Yeah, if that's the best point of call, we should go there first and then head west.
I still am not sure how we got here, how we got to the oasis as the point, but we've decided to go to the oasis that might have a Hydra in it. And I'm not entirely certain why that was the one. Let's see if we can figure out why that's the one. Question.
I'll bring him in. Yeah, I'll just do a big.
Where is the oasis?
We head west to the next town, see if they heard anything. If that's the direction he ran from the cave, and it's closer to that oasis.
Off the rivers to the north, sir. Moves in the hill. Certainly, but this Drakthar could easily take a Hydra by the
Yeah.
in the old watchtower.
Right, it's okay.
I think it's pretty knocked down, though.
So we've got listed all the places that there are things that there might be points of interest.
Let's see.
Are the caves to the north or the south?
The
We should.
feel like I'm getting confused.
west.
Hills are to the south, so it's
And the
not the
hills are
direction.
to the
that you-
south.
That's not the direction we saw him going. So maybe we try this oasis. Maybe we ask him.
Which is also to the south. The oasis is actually on the way to the hills. And so I think this is how we get stuck on the oasis idea, which is, granted, it's not as far as the hills, but it's still south and it's still out of the way.
French fry.
You don't go long.
Up with the river and head to the next.
Because he's going to lead us.
They're already setting out partway through.
Because we have a guide. We don't need to like do prep work because he's going to lead us.
You're gonna need. Right. So the guide, we don't need prep work, right? Right. But you have enough water skins, and you're headed to a place with water, so it'll be fine because it'll be maybe a day away from here. You're already setting out partway through the day, so you'll spend the night sleeping in the desert, and then partway through the day you'll get to the oasis. When you get there, especially since you have a horse, you're going to need to be able to get to the water, so that you don't, dehydrate and die. But key point there, and it's a good thing we said it now, because if we got to the oasis and we have problems at the oasis and then I say you're out of water, then the party would be like, oh my god, we would have packed my water if we had known, which is why I say it right now. I'm like, okay, but when you get to the oasis, you will need to get that water, which gives the party plenty of time to say, well, are there some water skins that we can buy in town? In which case I would say, well, there's not water skins, but there's these gourds that they use to carry water, and it'll function as a water skin, but they're fragile, so you can take them, but like don't get hit by anything big, otherwise the gourds might break, or some other bullshit like that. But we're giving the party a heads up that when you get to the oasis, you're going to need to get to the water, because as I know, and as you might know already, or as you're soon to find out, it's not going to be easy to get to the water. There's a Hydra in it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. I want to call out that I'm going to be yelling lock slosh pretty often.
Now, in this particular situation, I'm trying to hurry the game along, and so we're not going to actually see any Azari along this route. But for the next session, if the next time they start calling out Lock Slosh, we're actually going to see some Azari, probably. Maybe not the next time, but one of these times, since he's gone to the effort of getting the hello word, and he's gone to the effort of calling it out, we're going to see maybe some Azari unburrow themselves and be like, what's going on with this dude? And I don't know exactly how to play it yet, because if it's an ambush and they're hearing a non-Azari shout Lock Sloth, maybe they won't like come out of their ambush. But if they're just chilling somewhere, maybe they'll pop up. Like, I want to reward this attempting to communicate with the Azari in some way, shape, or form.
The whole rundown of how we were overwhelmed, and then I was able to get up at the last second and cleave the leader's head off. Cassian gets two stories completely mixed up. He's not trying to lie. He just can't.
I'm gonna fashion some very basic earplugs out of like a piece of cloth that I have. Just like
use some horsehair, man.
Yeah, that's kind of scratchy.
Yeah.
All right. Through the desert we go. Plax and Dara are coming with you, since you're sort of like, now, Dara was supposed to go on like an 8-day journey with the party, or like a 5-day journey with the party just along the river, and it's turned into a week and a half so far. She probably could have just pieced out while they were doing their long rest, but we had her stick around and watch what the party's doing and spread the stories of the party, which I am explaining within lore game, which we haven't gotten to yet, but when the question comes up, the idea is that she's seeing some pretty cool stuff. She really just wanted to get home, but she's down for an adventure along the way, and as long as it doesn't really risk her life. And these are some pretty cool people, and this might be the only time in her life that she gets to like cruise with the band of heroes, and so she's sticking it out. Another good reason, like a more in-game DM side mechanical reason for this, not mechanical, but story building reason for this, is that she's been really useful in promoting the party to other people. And so I want her to come along and see what's happening. So that way the party who's really bad at self-promotion can then be promoted by this person. You're headed west along the river. You're kind of going down southwest to where this oasis is. And then, if you find the guy and defeat the guy here, then you could just like head northwest and get back to the river and continue your journey. So they're going to come with you rather than get left behind in this town. That's why they're coming. We want to make sure that they're still with the party. We want to put the seeds in the party's brain. They're like, hey, go to the oasis and then just go to the next town so we can like keep on going. Keep the story moving.
This is the infinite moneymaker. We just bring Dara on like a crazy taxi and like her fees just like running up every day.
Well, we finally get to the town. Like, all right, well, if we count the
It's
extra,
been like 2 weeks, yeah.
it's going to be 150 gold. Don't forget to tip.
I made the wrong turn. Let me keep going.
All right. Well, into the desert we go. We've got with us traveling supply. Move. Skipping. Through the journey.
Wait, no.
Sure, what you consider a desirable outcome to be.
Just
So
roll high, Nick. Oh wait, no, he
I'll
can't.
roll a
Never
12
mind.
in the middle.
I'll roll down the middle.
okay, we'll be back on the other side of the break with a little bit more Lazarus Expedition. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Lazarus Expedition. So the roll that we make there, if it was a really bad roll, then there might have been something, surprising happening along the way. If it was a really high roll, maybe this isn't the oasis with the Hydra, and maybe the Hydra is in a different oasis, and this is just regular old everyday oasis along the way. Instead, we get the middle of the road roll, and so there's no encounters along the way, but there is going to be a Hydra in this oasis. Party gets through the journey without too much problem. You spend a night out in the desert, you take shifts, it passes without any problem, everyone gets some good rest, no exhaustion penalties or anything like that. And remember, we got to take these rests, you get good rest because you've got the tent and you've got the traveling supplies. And the next day, we continue on the way to this oasis. And sure enough, you can get to the oasis. And it's taking me a while to explain things because I'm moving maps around and getting tokens positioned on maps and creating maps on the fly. There it is before you. It's just a pit of water in sort of like a depression out here in the desert. This music is pretty foreboding. This isn't like, yippee, we've come to the oasis music. This is like the winds and the heat and the sand and the exhaustion of the travel sort of music. This is reminder, we're in a tough climate and we're in a tough spot. It's maybe 35 feet across by 35 feet across or something like that. And it's got like, I'm measuring on Roll20 as we're talking, like 6 trees growing around it.
Phoenix. Is that it?
That's it.
My God.
I look around in the air and say, this music is awfully distressing given how beautiful this place is. And I guess, all right.
Now, it's worth noting that during the break, when we went to break before we came back, Nick said to the collective party, there's a Hydra in that oasis. I'm calling it right now. He knows that there's a Hydra here, and at no point has, when I made this description, did anyone say, hey, do I see a cave? There's no cave here. There's just the water. And our party has sort of tunnel visioned a little bit, because they came to the oasis for the cave that might hold Drakthar Plainbane. But there's no cave buried by sand. And they know, well, at least one of the party is very certain that there is a CR8 multi-headed Hydra here.
All right, well, the horses need to drink. Or the horse.
Yep.
Lead the horse to
Okay,
the
I
water.
mean,
Bring
I'll
the
call
Hydra
out
up.
Lock Slosh. And wait a second, look around.
Lock slosh. Roy will follow suit.
That's the last fucking one, Cassian, okay?
Seems like there's none of them. Let's continue on.
Well, there's that cave that the old man was talking about. Where's that?
Oh, he mentioned it.
Look around.
You don't see anything that looks like a cave.
Phoenix. The old hero in town said there was a cave near the oasis.
Must have been covered by the sands.
It's good
Very
looking,
cool.
then.
Well, time to start digging, friends.
Could there be a second oasis, perhaps?
There are many oases in the desert.
Is it possible that this isn't the oasis the old man was talking about?
He pauses. We must contend with every possibility. Yeah, it's possible this isn't the oasis the old man was talking about, but like, you know, he mentioned the oasis. This is the close oasis. Although, I doubt it. The sands out here blow with the winds. The cliff in which the cave would be could easily have been covered by sand over time.
You have
Caves
been
come
here
and caves
before.
go. I
Right.
led you here myself, did I not?
Yeah, but you remember that you've seen the cave with your own eyes, right? Like the
I have
entrance, at
not.
least?
It's fine. Let's go get some water for the horse. We can talk about it there.
Look at the pain on Potato McWhiskey's face. He's like, why the fuck did we come all the way out here if you haven't seen a cave? And this is just one of those awkward things where the party's like, there's a cave at the oasis. Someone take us to the oasis. Do you know where the oasis is? Take us to the oasis. And like, just through the grapevine, the old man says there's a cave, but the marker's the oasis. So they ask for a guide to the oasis and they get to the oasis, but there's no cave there. And the guide's never heard about a cave there. And if someone had just along this route talked about the cave to the guide, then maybe, but like, this is one of those moments that I hope my players enjoy, because I enjoy this facet of the game because it reminds me so much of how real world confusion happens and how like the world turns on the smallest, most inconsequential of details. Like, you know, Archduke Franz Ferdinand's driver stalling his car when he tried to back up when he went down the wrong way on a road, and like the car stalled, and it just happened to stall right in front of the place where there's an assassin who's like waiting to kill him. You know, it's one of those like a small mistake gets made, practically inconsequential when you think about it, but because of this one small mistake, like the consequences are huge. And so the pain on Jamie's face right here is perfect.
Keep on your guard, and I'll pull out my two-handed, massive buster sword.
Damn, Giga Chat.
Yeah.
Vasher is thinking that it would have been great to know he hadn't seen the cave before we left.
Yes.
Would have been great.
I like nudge Roy and say, that's a fucking big sword he's got there, Roy.
Pretty big, but
Yeah, that's impressive.
I point to Vika on my shoulder. You know, this little guy packs quite a punch too. Okay, let's not.
He did. He breathed fire. I don't know how the fuck that happened.
Yeah. Well, you come up to the oasis, and as you do, the waters begin to ripple, and one head after another
Nick knows.
emerges.
Not only does he know, but he's excited. He's having a good time. He wants to fight the Hydra. He thinks the party can take the Hydra. He, knowing that there's a Hydra here, or really expecting it, baits the party into going to the Hydra. Look at that face. And a Hydra with 6 heads pokes out of the water.
Hell yeah.
Fuck.
God, I just didn't see this fucking coming.
You've done it again, Neal.
You've caught us off guard. Oh my god, they've walked into an obvious trap.
I attack.
I don't know why you guys walked into it if you thought it was so obvious.
I didn't think there would actually be a Hydra. I'm going to be real with you.
I don't know.
Fine.
If you thought there was a
If he
Hydra,
can kill a
and you just-
Hydra, we can kill a Hydra. It's not a big
True.
deal.
but no one killed the Hydra. Plax didn't. Drakthar did not kill a Hydra. The Hydra is still here. It's alive and well.
You got a pretty good one too.
That
Jesus,
is...
we are dead.
Yeah.
This does look
can we
pretty
just
big.
leave?
All right, well,
Yeah, maybe it's aquatic and it can't leave the lake. What if we just step away?
we
I don't even
can't
know
leave.
what a
The horse needs
Hydra
water,
does. That's true.
right? The horse needs water.
I think, yeah, I guess, but this fucking thing can kill us in one go, I think. All right, whatever.
How deep is this fucking oasis, by the way?
This is, all right.
Deep enough to hide a
submit your
Hydra.
ideas.
Yeah.
Submit your ideas for the next campaign, please. All right, great.
The track here is Black Rider, and this is in the dire combat music section of our tabletop audio track organization. It's a great track. It's one of my favorite combat tracks, I think, these days. But there's just so rare to get like a truly dire situation that's like dire from the upfront, but it's perfect for this.
How do I click myself? I can't click myself. It keeps declicking me. I need to be detached.
Oh, because yeah. Let me ungroup you.
I'm good.
There you go. Reminds me of Grace asking Liz Lemon if he can Google himself in her office. Now you're good.
Okay. Boom. Wow. All right.
A level 6 party died to this in Fatal 1, someone says in chat. They weren't D&D masters like us, they were. They were just...
Exactly.
Fatal 1 2nd edition?
Yeah.
No, it was 5th.
Okay.
Great.
Right.
Well, the Hydra comes out of the water, and it has multi-attacks, because it's got 6 heads. So, the Hydra's going to do a shit ton of damage right now, okay? It's going to fuck everything up. And I don't think there's actually anything in the Hydra stat block that says it has to distribute its attacks. But I imagine if you've got 6 heads, like, they're each going to pick their own target. Maybe if there's something that's really important or there's only one thing in range, they might all go after that thing. But even if it was one creature right in front of you, I don't know if all 6 heads could attack one creature. That seems a little bit weird. And maybe if it was like a really big creature, like a huge creature, maybe all 6 heads could get on it at once. So we're going to see the Hydra like reaching out to a variety of things, and like the heads are snapping in different directions all at once. And that feels very Hydra-esque to me. That feels very like, rah, monster attacking all the things around it. If the Hydra were a highly intelligent creature, it might, focus fire one and then focus fire the other and then focus fire the next. But the Hydras aren't super smart creatures, and they got a lot of heads, and they're all they all have minds of their own, and so they're all going to go out and attack a wide variety of things. Now, if we also look at the placement of the creatures or the players on the map, everyone's in range practically. And so with the first head will come and take a bite over here at the dearly beloved cleric with a snap. The Hydras have +8 to hit, so they're gonna hit the party no matter what, but a 26 is a natural 18. And that's double natural 18s. A 26 to hit.
Let me just check my AC. Oh, that's a hit, yeah.
And the party didn't say, oh yeah, that armor that we've been carrying around that we swap off on each different people, well, we're all going to put the armor on while we get to the oasis. Nope. We'll rip you for 15 points of damage.
Okay.
The second bite will come for the man on the horse. 26 to hit. That's another natural 18 for 11 points of damage.
He's rolling like a god, by the way.
The third attack against the man nearby, the two-hander. That's a natural 16. 24 to hit for 14 points of damage. And I guess starting Hydra damage is D10 plus 5. So the damage on Nick is a 10 out of 10. The damage on Jamie is a 6 out of 10. The damage on Cassian is a 9 out of 10. So the attack rolls are really high and the damage rolls are really high. They shouldn't be doing this much damage this reliably, but it's definitely well within the realm of possibility. It's just good job, Hydra. From the left side again. Actually, well, no, the horse hasn't been attacked yet. And that's the horse is a reasonable target to attack. The horse is actually large enough that maybe we get 2 attacks on it. I don't know. A tasting target for a Hydra, actually. I'm kind of waiting to see if Jamie is going to try to interpose himself between him and the horse and take the attack. It'll...
Bro.
Oh, buddy. Now, somehow the horse doesn't die. The Hydra rolls, what is that, an 8 and a 4 on 2d10, which is 12, which is actually just about average damage here. But the horse is 2 points away from dead, and it very, very easily could have just been KO'd right here. We've gotten very lucky that the horse did not get KO'd. The horse will take 17 out of 19. Ooh!
Yes, the horse lives.
Horse lives,
Okay.
baby.
What is the attack range? Because can he get to Vika and Roy without moving? 10 feet. I do believe Roy is safe and Vika is safe. So let's see who the other two heads attack. We've got 4 targets. 1, 2, 3 will be Vasher. And 4 will be Cassian. Those are lucky rolls for the party. It just literally, I rolled dice. I think I rolled a d6, and I was just going to re-roll any 5s or 6s. And it rolled a 3 and a 4. If it had rolled a 3 and a 3, I would have re-rolled the 3, and just not had it attack him, because they're gonna go after different targets. But the party got lucky. After they got unlucky that it rolled so high and rolled high on the damage, then they got lucky that it didn't. The luck sort of evens out in the big picture, usually. Right, at Vasher, 12?
That is a
Nice.
miss.
Nice.
Oh, thank God the shield comes up and blocks it. And at Cassian, 21 for 10 points of damage. Average damage. That should be doing 10.5, so 10 or 11 damage on a hit, but in 5 hits, it's done 15, 11, 14, 17. What was this last one? 10 divided by 4. It's doing 16.75 damage on an attack, when it should be doing about 10.5 damage. Granted, one of them was a crit, but honestly, that crit wasn't even that big of a deal.
Nowadays.
Thank God the Hydra went first. Cool. Steermere.
All right. Now I'm assuming that if I do an AoE attack hitting all of the heads, it'll do damage equally amongst all of them.
No. The Hydra is one creature and has 1 HP bar and will not do multiple damage to multiple heads.
Let's get the fuck out of here then.
Yeah, but we can't leave, because if we run, we're gonna take 5 opportunity attacks.
That's what disengage is for.
I guess.
Well, I got Misty stuff. I don't know what you guys. I'm getting the fuck out.
Yeah, no, I think I need to disengage.
Yeah, you do, old man. Okay. Oh, go ahead and move your 30 feet. His token is snapping. Oh my God, it's snapping automatically.
Yeah, Vika will scuttle the fuck away.
Mm-hmm.
Disengaging. I'm assuming. Wait, how much? I always forget how much movement he has.
30, same as you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to stay.
You're also going right after Vika, so you can move the two of you together if you want.
I will also bonus action, just in case. Well, do I want to do that? There's no world in which we're fighting, right?
I mean, I don't think so. It's probably got like 100 health or more.
You can always bonus action
I
later,
have to...
right?
What is the range on this? That's self-cast. Okay, never mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just moving away, disengaging. That's it.
Cool. Cassian Rin.
You don't need to disengage. Wait, you don't need to disengage.
Oh yeah,
You're
I
not
can
melee
just,
range.
I can just.
Yeah, just walk away.
Now, here's one of the scary things. The party has moved 30 feet in 2 different directions. The Hydra has a movement speed of 30 feet. So if the Hydra takes a turn and comes out of the water, it can chase down any one party member, and then there will only be the one target for 6 heads. And it probably won't get all 6 head attacks, maybe 3 head attacks. But when the party scatters, but only manages to get 30 feet away, we run into the very real issue that the party is about to be hunted down and killed.
Go away, and then you can use a spell if you wanted.
Yeah. Let me think real quick.
Thing I'm worried about is how much movement does this creature have, right? Because you're within 30 feet of him.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah. He's probably got more than 30 feet of movement, so it's.
I'm
it's
thinking
looking
like a Hydra would be like a 40-foot movement, right?
60, 45.
I cast Expeditious Retreat on myself as a bonus action, which allows me to move at an incredible pace.
It allows you to Expeditious, we changed the way that dash works. You can only take one dash action on your turn because rogues can take dash as a bonus action. And I didn't want rogues to be able to move dash and bonus action dash, and just rogues would instantly be 50% faster than everybody else all the time, no matter what. A foot race between a halfling rogue and a, human warrior or a human barbarian, the halfling rogue would win that race every single time, just because they can take an extra dash action. Doesn't make any sense to me. But leaving dash as a bonus action, and then you can take a regular attack with your action does mean the rogue can hit and move, and it can run while fighting, which is cool and which is legit. Expeditious Retreat is the exception to this rule, where with Expeditious Retreat, you can dash as an action and as a bonus action. And so Expeditious Retreat does allow you to move more quickly. Otherwise, Expeditious Retreat just allows you to move at the same speed as a regular rogue, which is weird. Dash as a bonus action on each of your turns.
Nice.
Yeah, but casting the spell was already my bonus action, right? So I can't do it right now.
Well, you would still have an action, so you can still dash.
Okay, and dash is
an extra 30 feet of movement.
Extra 30. Yeah, let's just get the fuck back.
All right, Cassian, your turn.
Okay, I'm gonna cast Fighting Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm gonna
Great
use
idea.
Fighting Spirit. I'm gonna get 5 HP back and get all advantage on all my attacks this turn.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I am gonna attack this turn.
Great.
With my
shit.
great sword.
Natural 20.
19.
Oh,
Excellent hit
Could have
against
been
the 15
useful.
AC monster.
11.
All right. 11 points of damage. Watch the HP bar very carefully.
Okay, I'm gonna action.
The Hydra has 172 hit points. 11 damage is not insignificant. 11 out of 172. It's 6%, 6.4% of the Hydra's HP.
Surge.
Disengage.
Exactly.
Oh,
and
actually,
I'm
you have
going to-
advantage. Roll that attack again, just in case you crit.
Just in case. Sorry.
Just in
that's what I
case.
do advantage. It's just gonna be. There we go.
No,
Yeah,
okay.
same thing.
All right, there you go.
I'm gonna action surge.
Mm-hmm.
And
I really thought he was going to fight the Hydra right
I
here.
am going to disengage.
Mm-hmm. Thank God.
Excellent. Vasher Talat, you're on a horse pulling a cart through the desert, and there's a Hydra in front of you.
How fast does the horse and the cart move?
No, the horse normally moves at speed 60, but with the cart, I think you're probably going at 45 right now.
Okay. As a... Let me just line this up. So if I can get you here, are you within 30 feet? No.
That's me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I have turned the tide, which heals
Got
everyone
it.
around me.
Did it update my HP for all of you, or just?
I see it at 8.
No. Okay, good.
Yeah, yours is updated, but mine isn't updated
Yeah,
for
same.
me either. And it's annoying because if you refresh, it fixes it, but then the music
Yeah, I
cuts
don't know
out.
why.
Oh, weird.
Okay,
Roll
yeah, I
20
guess
has
I am
been
going to disengage.
Roll 20 has been having some HP bar issues, and I don't know what they are, and I don't know how to solve them. I think we just have to wait for Roll 20 to patch all the stuff. Well, you could get 45 to...
If I was on this other way, I would.
Now we're going to see
Argue. I
Vasher
think the
move the
Hydra should get
horse
an
and
attack
himself
on
and
the
get out of the
cart.
way for a moment here. And Mr. Mooten is going to save the day. He's going to save the whole day
Yeah.
with a rules
The
lawyer.
horse can dodge.
Pay
and
attention
disengage,
carefully.
But the card is it's like a fixed thing
That's
yeah,
a
like
pretty...
if
Yeah. Yeah, all right, the Hydra will bite.
on the cart.
It's right here. This is the moment
you
where
could get 40.
This is the moment where Mr. Mooten saves the day.
5 to...
If I was on this other way, I would argue. I think the Hydra should get an attack on the cart. If it
Because
wants
the
to.
cart doesn't disengage.
Yeah. Him and the horse can dodge and disengage, but the cart is it's like a fixed thing.
That's
yeah,
a
like
pretty...
if
Yeah. Yeah, all right, the Hydra will bite at the cart. 10 piercing damage. How much HP does a cart have? So turns out there are some rules for cart HP, but still 10 I think is enough to dislodge the cart from the horse, which would probably happen, much faster than the entire cart being destroyed in one go. And this right here saves the party.
A master carpenter made this character.
Because if the horse had been pulled, I'm sorry, if the horse had pulled the cart away from the monster, the monster would have taken 30 feet of movement to chase after a party member, and someone would be dead. So letting the cart get it, or asking for the cart to get attacked, and then the cart failing a saving throw, an old style saving throw, really does allow the party to leave.
Everything is on the card.
But it means all of their shit is gone. And this is great. This is the sort of like failed successfully that we are always hoping to get out of our D&D parties, where they have to like abandon their gear to save themselves. It's something that's really hard to get, and Mr. Mooten did it, but he did it in a way where he didn't say, "Hey, party, let's abandon our gear," and then they argue over it. He said, he spoke the true of the Dungeons and the Dragons, and he said, "Well, Dungeon Master, shouldn't the monster get a free attack of opportunity on that cart?" And of course, like, there's no arguing against that. And then it just happens to solve all of their problems really neatly. I should have given. I didn't give Mr. Mooten inspiration for that because I didn't think of it in the moment. But also, had I thought of it in the moment, I probably wouldn't have given it to him anyway, because I realized the slyness of his actions there, and I'm not trying to, call him out as like, you just intentionally sacrificed all the party's stuff, right? Because if he wanted to, he could have mentioned that he was sacrificing the party's stuff to save the party, but he didn't. And so I'm calling him out right now and acknowledging it right now, because it's a great move. But in the moment, I didn't want to, throw him under the party's bus like that. But he saved the day, and he should get inspiration for it. For traveling in the desert without water, it's a series of con saves, and the better you do, the fewer exhaustion levels you take, the worse you do. These con saves and desert traveling rules were actually built not for traveling through this section of desert, but traveling through the Badlands. There's a gambit that was going to come up when they try to get through the Badlands, which I don't think they'll take right now. Where the trip through the Badlands is going to be along the river, and it's going to be this long, or there's a guide who will offer to take you through a shortcut where there's a series of watering holes, and the guide will get you there much faster. They'll cut the time down by half. But the guide's not exactly trustworthy. And the guide's plan is to lead you to a space and then say, "I'm going to go get water. You wait here in the shade of this cave," and then take the party's water skins and just leave them to die in the cave, and then come back a little bit later to take their stuff. And then as the party explores the cave, maybe half an hour later or something, they'll find the remains of other people who have been like left here in this cave to die, and realize what's going on. But now that the party has experienced traveling through the desert without having an option of like refilling their water, I don't think they would buy such a gambit. And since our travel time has already actually taken way longer to get from Abelar to Belwind than I wanted, I don't think I want to even tempt a longer journey this way. I think I'm going to try and have the journey through the Badlands be a lot faster, because I'm trying to keep us to like a 10 to 15 episode story arc here. That's why I feel comfortable explaining right now this ploy.
Okay. There's no way we can get our cart back unless we wait.
That
for
had
it to
all our
go.
tents on it. It had all of our equipment.
Yeah, wait.
Some people.
Well, unless we
had,
wait for it to go back below the water and try and grab the cart.
Guys, that was the expedition. It had the horse's food on it.
I don't think Hydras can just infinitely live underwater.
You don't think that?
They can breathe underwater
Out
for
of
1
character,
hour?
I don't.
Or they can hold their breath
Character, I
for 1
wouldn't
hour?
know, I guess.
As you watch But then,
from a distant
they just
hill,
pop up and breathe
you'll
and
see
pop
the
back down.
Hydras devour everything on the cart, and then devour some of the cart itself, and then drag the remains of the cart under the water. And then you'll see it submerge itself, and all 6 of its heads will disappear underneath the surface of the water, which, after a moment or two, grows quite still.
You see, that's where the loot is.
True. You got a good hit on him though, Cassian. He didn't seem to even notice.
He still needs to trade with the sword.
I don't think there's any chance we were going to kill that thing.
All right. We're going to need to come up with a plan because that was
So here
all the supplies that
we're
we have for this
about
trip.
just a little bit less than halfway
sooner we
through
get
a
back, the
session
better.
here.
How far is the?
And now we're into the real troubles. And there's not a lot for me to talk about here.
A day and change.
I can sort of recap the problems that we're running into at this point. Is that the party's out of water, and they've got these saving throws that they need to make if they're going to travel without water. And let me find the saving throws right here.
Probably just water, right?
The idea is we're going to use the exhaustion system of 5th edition to simulate running out of water. And if you fail 6 exhaustion checks, you die, essentially. And the amount of water that you can... Well, how do we say? Depending on your environment and your activity levels, you can live for a certain amount of time without water. Under, not the worst situations, if you are indoors and not exposed to the elements and the temperature's not super high and you're not moving very much and you're not really exerting yourself very much, you could probably do 3, maybe 4 days without water. Occasionally you'll read about someone doing much longer than that, but let's not take the maximum endurance, but let's take the point at which 50% of people would die. So 3, maybe 4 days under favorable circumstances. If you are outside and exposed to the elements, it's going to come down a lot. If it's really hot and you need to sweat to keep yourself cool, it's going to come down a lot. If you're exerting yourself, it's coming down a lot. It's very possible for a person who's in an extremely dry, extremely hot environment to die within a day of dehydration. If you are, your skin is exposed to the sun, it's hot and it's dry, and you are walking or running, and you're walking through sand, so it's hard on top of that. It's not just walking on the ground, but you're really struggling. You're using a lot of muscles, and your body's generating a lot of heat. You could die within a day. You could die by the end of the day. People have died just going for day hikes in Santa Barbara County because they didn't bring any water, and they overexerted themselves and collapse from heat exhaustion and pass out, and then they just don't make it. They just die. So I created a series of saving throws that would allow for a party to die, but not in one day. You will take 5 exhaustion levels at the... Actually, technically, if you roll 1, 2, 3, or 4, you will take 6 exhaustion levels and die. So yeah, you could die in this situation. So essentially, a roll of below 5 on a con saving throw, and you die. A roll of 5 to 9, and you take 5 exhaustion levels. A roll of 10 to 14, and you take 4 levels. 15 to 19, you take 3 levels. 20 to 24, you take 2 levels. 25 to 29, you take 1 level, and a 30, you survive. And 30 is basically impossible. You would need plus 10 on your roll, which is really hard to do. You would have to have 20 in your stat, and you'd have to be level 14. I can't remember exactly when your proficiency bonus gets to that, but it'd be really, really high. So in theory, with these rules, if you've got crazy con and you're high level, maybe, and you roll really, really luckily, maybe you don't take any exhaustion levels. And that would be like a super heroic moment where a super badass is just like by sheer willpower alone marching through the desert in a situation where no one else should survive. And even under that circumstance, you know, they would need a 20 to do that, and then the next time if they rolled a 10, then they'd roll a modified 20, and they'd take 2 exhaustion levels, and then their speed would be and it'd be, you know, very quickly they're gonna still run into huge problems and suffer. And so our party, if they had water for a day, they traveled for a day to get to the oasis. Now they need to travel a day back home. They're going to not have water, and they're going to have to make this check at some point. And that's bad. That's bad. What makes it worse is if you take 2 levels of exhaustion, I believe it is, you take, you move at half speed. Right. 2 levels of exhaustion means you move at half speed. So to not move at half speed, you would have to make a DC 25 check, which I think maybe the fighter and the barbarian, no, there's no barbarian, maybe Cassian could make. No, he's only got a con save mod of 4. So nobody can roll a 20 and be cool. Everyone's going to be fucked. So if they do, you know, travel for a day. No, hold on. How did this work? They left town, they traveled through the day, they slept, they finished off the rest of their water in that morning, then they traveled to the oasis and they need to drink now. That's where we are. So by the time night falls, when they wake up in the morning, essentially, because they used their last water this morning, because they left town yesterday with a full water skin, or 2, because it takes 2 to travel through the desert. When they wake in the morning, they will have to make their con checks to see how dehydrated they are. And that will only get them halfway home. So if they fail they would do a half day's movement, a little bit less than a half day's movement, make their con checks in the morning, and then they would have to do a half day's movement to get back. So in theory, actually, if they were all just to travel, sleep at night, they could do it. They could travel for the rest of the half of the day. That night they'd make that next morning, the night they would sleep and be fine. In the morning, they would make their con checks, their con saves. And even if their speed is halved, they only have a half day of travel back to town. And so as long as they don't get lost or have any problems, they could do it. The one problem would be if someone rolls less than a 10 on their con save, they would have their speed reduced to 0 because they would be at 5 levels of exhaustion. All they could do is lay there and die, essentially. And so somebody is going to roll a 10, or less than a 10, a 9 or less on a con save. And this is essentially our problem. And the party talks about the possibility of traveling through the night. And if you travel through the night, you take 2 levels of exhaustion, which immediately halves your speed. And if you travel through the night, you're still not going to move as quickly as you would during the day. It might be an overcast night, so you might not know which direction you're traveling. If it was a clear night, you might be able to at least head generally northward. And since we know the river is northward and it runs like pure east-west, as long as you head north, you're headed towards the river, and you might be okay. So if they could travel to the night and then travel through the night, and then they would make their con checks, take 2 levels of exhaustion, have halved speed. If they could get to the river before the sun rises, they'd be cool. I mean, they might die to an ambush or to bandits or to other monsters along the area, but they'd be fine. And I think one of the things we end up simulating a little bit later, not right now. Right now, they're trying to figure out how to get water, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But when we do get to the point that the party is getting to nightfall, because they get some water and then they begin to move, We make some dice checks, and we see that the skies are overcast, and you can't actually tell which way is north. And this is going to bring up one of the real problems of traveling in the ancient world that we just don't have anymore. Knowing where you are and getting lost is so much easier in the ancient world than it is in the modern. In the modern world, there are roads everywhere. There are roads everywhere, and they're good roads, and they're paved roads. And if you get on the road and you walk along the road, eventually you'll find civilization. And there's signs on the roads, and there's cell phones, and there's GPS, and there's all sorts of tools at your disposal. In addition, we have huge cities whose lights you can see from miles and miles away. It doesn't matter if it's cloudy or not. You can just gaze across the horizon unless you're like deep in the mountains or in some real rural places. And you'll see the lights of a city or the lights of a nearby village or something, and you can get there. But in the ancient world, you could be walking right past a village, and if there's no dogs barking, you probably wouldn't even notice because the village is going to be dark. There's no electricity. No one's leaving things burning all night long, or maybe someone's got a fire burning, but like it might not be illuminating through their windows. It might not be shining out. The village could be completely dark. You could walk right past a village through the plains and not see it at all. In the modern world, that's just never going to happen. Streetlights are going to show you where you are. You're probably going to be on a road anyway. If you're off a road, you're probably not that far from another road. You know, it's really hard to get lost in the modern era. At worst, maybe your cell phone's dead and you're in a city that you don't recognize and you're looking around and you've got like a map, but your map is upside down, or you don't know what street you're on because you don't read French very well. And you're kind of like, I'm not sure where I am. Where's my hotel? And maybe you have to ask a human being to help you. But like, it's really hard to get lost in the modern world. Every now and then someone gets lost on a trail while hiking, but it's pretty rare. It's not very common at all. But in the ancient world, without electricity, without modern infrastructure, without cities shining lights or towns or villages shining lights, without road lights, without good roads, you can get lost very easy, and you can die like that. There's an expression that we don't hear very often anymore, but the expression is like ships passing in the night, which goes to the idea that back on the sea, you could have a ship and there could be another ship, and the two ships could pass each other in the night, and the people who are on those ships looking out to sea wouldn't see the other ships, because at nighttime in the ocean, if it's overcast, it's real dark, and you would not notice another ship nearby unless the people on that ship were making a crap ton of noise and they were like close enough for that noise to travel to you. But if they are, a mile away, even if they're making noise, you wouldn't hear them. You could see them in the daytime, but you couldn't hear them, and you couldn't see them at night. Even like the silhouette of their ship against the darkness of the sky, you wouldn't be able to see anything. So traveling by night is a difficult thing. Navigating by the stars is sort of possible if you recognize the constellations and you pay a lot of attention to what the night sky looks like, and you're very familiar with how the stars move and with the constellations, and you can see the night sky well enough to recognize the constellations, not just like, there is a patch of sky, but there is mostly clear skies. You might be able to get like north, south, east, west coordinates probably pretty reliably. If it's a truly clear night and you can see all the stars and you're familiar with the stars and you're familiar with where the stars should be this time of year and where the stars should be this time of year compared with your latitude, like how far around up and down across the globe you are, you should be fine. In fact, that's how sailors navigate at night, famously. But to get really good navigations, to get like, I want to head actually directly east, or I want to get to that town or that city, you need like a compass, and you need to be able to measure the exact distance from the equator this is, and match it up with this chart over here. And it needs to be pretty specific to get an exact heading. In this situation, we just need a general heading. And so being able to see the night sky with a cleric and a paladin, because in this setting, the stars and the constellations are the gods. And so if you're a cleric or a paladin and you're connected to the gods, like you're probably pretty familiar with the astronomy situation going on, and you might be able to be like, oh, of course, yeah, so and so is rising right now. I'm a good cleric. I know this shit. We might make it a religion check. And we'd be able to get around. But our party suffers because they don't have clear skies, and then they have to make the decision if they want to sleep through the night and then make their con saving throws, or if they want to walk through the night and automatically take 2 levels of exhaustion. But before we even get there, our party's here trying to figure out how to get some water. And they have a lot of conversation, and they have a lot of ideas. There is, maybe we could actually take this Hydra. What's our per round damage output out at? And the Roy, who knows all sorts of things about all sorts of creatures, kills his history check. He rolls a 20. So we learn that, Hydras, if you do fire damage to them, and then they take 25 or more points of damage in a single turn, one of the heads dies. And there's a little confusion over round versus turn for a little while. And then once it gets sorted out, that 25 points or more damage in a single turn means one character's actions. So one person would have to do 25 points of damage, which is really hard at this level. So it doesn't look like you can kill a head. And obviously it's got like 170 something HP. So the party can't do 170 HP worth of damage to it in a round, and they can't take off any heads in a round. So, what's the party gonna do? They decide they can't fight it. They come up with a couple of ideas. They could use fog cloud to get close to the oasis and hide in the fog cloud, and then the Hydra couldn't see them, and then get water. Which honestly, I mean, it's not a guaranteed success, but that'd be pretty good, because I do believe the fog cloud spell provides total cover, right? Let me just quickly take a look at fog cloud. I really liked this idea when I heard it. And I think they decided it was too risky. They thought that maybe the Hydra could see through it. You create a 20-foot radius sphere of fog centered on a point in range. The sphere spreads around corners and is heavily obscured, lasts for the duration or until a wind of moderate or greater strength disperses it. So 20-foot radius is a 40-foot path, a 40-foot diameter. So you could have the fog cloud reach all the way up to the edge of the water and just beyond, and then 10 feet into the oasis and then 30 feet back. And if the Hydra didn't immediately come out of the water, you could walk into the fog cloud and walk your way up there. And it lasts for up to an hour. It's a concentration spell, so you can only have one at a time. And then you could walk up there, refill your water skins, and walk back out of the fog cloud. And I think this is a really good idea. I might have had the Hydra make some sort of noticing that the surface of the water is being disturbed check, and I might have had it make some sort of like, the fog has appeared, the Hydra comes out and like snaps into the fog like wild until it realizes that there's nothing there, and then it goes back into the water. And so it wouldn't have been like an instant over solution, but it could have worked out really, really well. I really liked this idea. And I think the party they weren't certain that the Hydra couldn't see through the fog cloud. They had suspicions that magical fog would not be enough to deter a Hydra. And if I look at the Hydra stat block right now, they don't have any special senses other than dark vision. So I actually think the fog cloud idea would have worked pretty well. In the end, they're actually not quite at the end. There's a discussion about whether or not to use Vika as bait and like just distract the Hydra and fill up the water skins. But filling up water skins, it'll take a round. It's 6 seconds at least to plunge the water skins underwater and let them fill. I don't know how long it takes to fill a water skin that's been plunged underwater, but 6 seconds seems like it. So maybe a full action to do that. So you could move, fill the water skins, and then the next round you'd have to disengage and move away, and that might work, but then the Hydra could just chase after you. There's problems with that approach. They begin to get nervous, and so they send Phoenix off with the horse to go get more water. Now, the horse hasn't consumed any water at this point in the day. The horse itself is going to suffer exhaustion levels. But now the horse doesn't have to pull this frickin' cart, and the horse's movement speed is twice that of a person. And so the horse should be able to do 2 days of travel for a normal person in 1 day. Also, I never brought it up because Phoenix would never have brought it up, and no one asked it. But Phoenix packed with him more than 1 day worth of water. Phoenix is a desert traveler. He's got the right garb. He doesn't need a full 2 water skins because he has more appropriate dress for this environment. And he is enough of a desert traveler to understand that he's going to have to pack more than 1 day worth of water. So Phoenix is carrying, I didn't do the math on it. I didn't figure it out, but I know he's got like 2 days of water. And so he can easily, well, maybe not easily, but partially, maybe he can get the horse to drink some water. There's another expression: you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Even if your horse is tired and thirsty, and you bring it to water, your horse might not drink it, and it can be frustrating. I have had very, very little experiences with horses in my life. But one of the things that I have done is watch my mother-in-law try to get her horse to drink water after she's come back from a long ride and bring it up to the trough where there's water. And Caboose, come on, get your water, Caboose. And Caboose just stands there and she's like, come on, Caboose, I know you're thirsty. Come on, Caboose. And the horse just stands there, and the horse is tired, and the horse is thirsty. The horse just stands there and doesn't drink. And you're thinking to yourself, why is this horse not drink? Is there something wrong with this water? And you feel the water and it's like nice and cool, and you look in it, it's clean. There's not like algae growing in it, and you sniff it, and you check the faucet, and you drink water out of the faucet yourself, and you put some more water in the trough, and you try and get the horse to drink the fucking water, and the horse needs the water, but the horse isn't. And why is the horse not drinking the water? And it's a frustrating thing. It's a real problem in the real world, but when you're a bunch of city dorks and you don't necessarily have a lot of horse experience, you might not understand that your tired and thirsty horse doesn't want to drink the water. It seems dumb, but the real world is dumb oftentimes. Anyway, what I'm saying is that Phoenix might be able to get the horse to drink water. Phoenix might not be able to get the horse to drink water. The horse doesn't know Phoenix. The horse doesn't really want to leave its owner behind to begin with. And Phoenix is only going to be able to splash water in his hand, or maybe if he can get the horse to look up, maybe pour it down the horse's throat a little bit, it's going to be hard to get the horse to drink. And the horse needs a lot of water. So Phoenix trying to get the horse back to town to survive at all. I haven't made that die roll yet. I haven't found out whether or not Scamp survives. Phoenix will make it back. It's possible. Unlikely, but possible that Scamp dies. So here we are in a tough situation. As a DM, I don't have to make this a die roll. I can just declare that Scamp survives. I can just declare that Scamp dies. I can say that Phoenix and Scamp are never seen from again. He takes your warhorse and he runs. We can declare whatever we want for the sake of the story. And the question is, what would be most fun for our party? Maybe leaving it up to dice would be fun, but they're going to be off-screen dice, and the players aren't going to have control. I guess I suppose I could say this is the intent. Vasher, why don't you roll the dice to see if your horse dies or not? But let's take a moment and examine the options here. Phoenix tries to save the party, but the horse dies in the process. Party comes back. Phoenix is there. He's like, I tried to save your horse, but it didn't work out. I'm so sorry, it died. What does this do for the party? Well, their beloved animal who they fought so hard to keep, is finally dead. And the paladin, who's trying so hard to be a good person, but has been put in a land filled with evils that he doesn't like, is now, the person that he trusted with the responsibility of his horse's life has failed him and his horse is dead. Is this going to push Vasher into being a monster? Is this going to be a fun moral choice for him to make? Maybe. Certainly, the horse has been a liability all game. The horse has only gotten in the way of our plans and our attempts and our journeys. The party would do better without a horse, at least in the desert and in the Badlands. They're not going to see it that way, though. On the other hand, we've tried so hard to keep this horse alive, and now it's dead due to an NPC. That's very deflating, The moment I trusted an NPC, I was let down. It doesn't build a lot of confidence in the NPCs, and it doesn't build a lot of trust in the NPCs. And if we want to have the party feeling like they're interacting with the world, and if we want them to feel like they are able to get something out of the towns that they're visiting and the people that they're visiting, then this is sort of a setback to that, because they're not going to feel like they can trust other people again. It's not like they've trusted a dozen NPCs and they've all come through, but this NPC has failed them. This is the first time they're trusting an NPC, So if we declare the horse dead, which is totally reasonable, horses need a lot of water. I don't think it helps the game. I don't think it makes the game better. What is likely going to happen, actually, is that Phoenix goes back to town. He gets shit ton of water, and he goes back to the oasis to find the party. But the party's left the oasis with water and is now back going to town, but by taking a different route because they're lost in the desert, sort of lost. And so Phoenix is going to go back to town with the horse, and then he's going to go back out. And by the time he's heading back out, the party is going to be arriving back at town, maybe. Or maybe the party arrives hours later. And so they're going to miss each other, like ships in the night. And they're going to come into town and be like, "Where's Phoenix? Where's my horse?" And the town will be like, "Phoenix went with the horse to go rescue you. How'd you get here?" And then they're going to have to sit in town and be like, "Where's Phoenix and my horse? Is he ever going to come back?" And that's probably what's going to be happening. Unless Phoenix is planning on taking the horse back to town, leaving the party to die in the desert, and just coming back and be like, "Town, I have Warhorse with me now." And then when the party shows up, he'll be like, "Hey, buddy, we were just resting. I'm so happy you made it back. The horse was exhausted. I tried to get him to go again, but Scamp, he was just so tired. I totally was coming back for you guys, but I didn't want to push the horse to death. So glad you made it back." Right? That's another option. I haven't made any decision yet, but there are many ways the horse situation could unravel. And in addition to what is most simulationist and likely, there is what is fun for the dice rolls. There is how does it have an impact on the story? How does it impact the player trust and how we want our players to feel about the rest of the world? Right now, at this moment, I'm leaning towards Phoenix being out with the horse trying to find the party, because he's doing he's a trustworthy person, and we're trying to build trust between the party and the NPCs of this region. And there's not really any reason Phoenix would betray them, It doesn't do great to get a reputation as a horse thief with your own people. You come back to town and you're like, "Huzzah! I came back with their horse and I left them to die." Like, that doesn't do great for you unless you're already a scumbag. So I think it makes the most sense for him to be on it, to get back to town, water the horse, let the horse rest for a night, and then ride out the next day and look for the party with, some sort of shelter, some sort of different tent, and some water and probably like a couple of buckets, or I don't know how he's going to transport enough water to feed the horse again. But he'll find a way. I think that's what's going to happen. Let's see what's happening in game though. Star, I see in your character sheet your Archmage spellbook is unchecked. Was that on the cart? Oh, I'm so glad we came in at this point. Oh, I had forgotten about this. You see, Roy Waystar. Did I delete it? No, here it is. Had managed in the in character creation to salvage this spellbook. And this spellbook has a lot of spells in it. All right. This spellbook has up to 4th level spells, which Roy could learn ad nauseum. And this is going to be essentially the only spellbook that they're going to come across, because in this early age of the world, there are very, very few wizards and there are many sorcerers, and sorcerers don't need spellbooks. So I don't know where he gonna find any more spells. He might be able to do some research, and I've given him some research rules. But there's a lot here. There's great things like Dispel Magic, Gaseous Form, Tongues, Wall of Sand, Evard's Black Tentacles, Fabricate, Stone Skin, Charm Monster, a crap ton of 1st level spells, a bunch of 2nd level spells, including some decent things. Well, he's already got Dragon's Breath, but Snealiox, Snowball Swarm, Suggestion's pretty good. Magic Weapon is pretty clutch. What if they come across a creature who can only be hit with magic weapons, which they very well may come across? Magic Weapon might actually be a super important spell for them at some point. Not going to have it anymore. And I think it's gone. I don't think there's a way to get it back.
I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. Yes. I can't on the.
He's so screwed.
Not through the shed.
Okay. So the way that our party ends up surviving this situation is after much deliberation, much trying to look through spells, much trying to figure out how you're going to approach the water, and maybe you could distract the Hydra with this thing, or maybe you could distract it with that thing, or maybe we could use Vika to do this, or Vika to do... Eventually, Roy Waystar looks around and sees that he's got Unseen Servant, which has a movement range of up to 60 feet away from you, and it can move up to 15 pounds. No, up to 30 pounds? Has 2 strength, so it can move up to 30 pounds at a time. If it's moving 30 pounds, it's quite slow, though. It can move up to 10 pounds without much trouble. And Unseen Servant is going to save the day because it's invisible, doesn't really leave tracks, and you can move it to like go over, submerge some water, and move it back. And we rule... I roll some dice, and I say, on a high roll, the Hydra, like this is a luck roll for the party. On a high roll, the Hydra doesn't notice or doesn't care enough to interact with something, moving the water. On a low roll, the Hydra will attack. And after seeing lots of stuff, like that breaking point moves. So I think it starts at like a 4 or a 5 on a D20 for the Hydra, 4 or 5 or less, for the Hydra to notice and get angry and do something, and then it gets to be like a 6 and a 7 and an 8 and a 9, and it moves up. And in the end of the 12 water skins the party has, they end up with 4 or 5. Yeah, there's 6 people, 12 water skins. They end up filling 5 of them, which means that one person... They end up filling 5 of them? I have the notes right here. They end up filling 5 of them. And so one person is going to have to make con saves to... One person's just not going to have water. Did we get 6? Let's go find their con saves. They're over here somewhere. The ruling that I make, which I actually don't think is balanced, but I had to come up with it in a snap, is that if you only have half the water that you're supposed to need for the day, that I would just reduce the check by half. And so instead of needing a 30 to have 0 exhaustion levels, you need a 15. And instead of needing a 10 to take 4 exhaustion levels, you only need a 5. And so we just reduce it by half. I don't think that's great, because then you could just say, I'm going to survive on half water rations all the time. If you have high enough con, right? Well, maybe, because then if an average roll would be 10.5. So on average, you would be taking 1 or 2 points of exhaustion a day, unless you have any level of training in con or any high con whatsoever. Then you'd probably be taking 1 level of exhaustion per day, working at half rations. It's still possible you to roll like a 7 or less and take 3 exhaustion levels. Yeah, I suppose it's not the worst approach. Maybe a better ruling would be to make a pair of con saves, and you use the better one on the first day. Like you save at advantage, and the save kicks in after 2 days, but you take the higher roll after 1 day. So let's say that you roll a 12 and a 20. So the first day that you're at half rations, we act as if your save was a 20, and then when you get to the second day of no water, we act as if your save was a 12 the whole time. Because then you're still making, like, you've used a day of water over 2 days, so you've gone 1 day without water, but we split up when the penalties kick in. So you would still take the 12, but you wouldn't take the 12 until the end of the second day, but you take the 20 at the end of the first day. And so you would get like that advantage roll on the beginning side of things, and then the penalty, the lower side, would kick in at the end. That might be an acceptable approach. I'm not entirely certain, because then if you roll a 20 first and then you roll a 12, it's sort of giving you It's probably fine. Either one of these solutions is fine. I think I would probably do the advantage ruling going forward, but in a pinch, I went with, we'll just have the saves. And everyone that gets 1 water skin will have... Oh, right. So when he makes an 18, he will take 3 levels of exhaustion. The effect... Let's go back a little bit.
Roy,
it will...
Roy, I'm telling you, I'll be fine.
That's not the roll that he's making. Effective. I mean, we're gonna move forward. We've walked to the edge.
We lose.
Steer me. Blah blah blah. The heist was easy. Okay, so here are the con saves. Here is the slowness that people are going at. In this situation, a 20 is going to be a wild success, because all you needed was a 15 or higher to not be slowed. We're gonna back it up a little bit here. Steermere, you've got the highest perception check. Please make me a perception check. You're not gonna get us northward. It'll be easier because you're not gonna get crazy lost. Where are did the saves not kick in? Hold on, let me see. See where these saves are. Scrolling. All right, Steermere rolls a con save. He rolls a 10, so he will take 2 levels of exhaustion. Cassian rolls a 24, so he will take 2 levels of exhaustion. Because he doesn't have any water, but they both end up sitting on the disc, and it didn't even matter that much anyway. Because they were going to be a half day away from. So even if the rate was slow, to be fine. Roy rolls a 13, which ends up being 1 level of exhaustion. Basher rolls an 18, which is 0 levels of exhaustion. Plax and Dara takes 0 levels of exhaustion. Cool.
Makes a comment, and What?
Anyway, they manage all this stuff.
Check.
That's not what's interesting.
Standing.
What's interesting is at the
God.
very
I
end,
drink the potion.
they've gotten their water. They're headed back to the village. Or just a quick little encounter their way. Just a smidgy quickie
And she's
encounter. There's this character. What's her name? Saffron Shadow Walker. And you can see by the fact that she has a yellow HP bar that she is a hero. And Saffron Shadow Walker, it has a band of merry followers with her. And she's leading them, and they're all happy, and they're like playing music. And she offers to sell the party some healing potions. And this is, an age where there's free magic available. There's free healing available in Abelar. There's all sorts of stuff going on. Like, this is not unreasonable that someone could be selling healing potions. And so the party goes to buy one. And Cassian, oh, dearly beloved Cassian, she will, where is it right here?
yes, sir. She's gonna attack me.
We should roll initiative, actually, is what happened.
Yeah.
Well, let's back up a little more. Heavy glass with a bluish fluid inside.
The only way we can know we're not getting scammed here is if I drink one.
I can cast Identify on it.
Yep.
I ask her if she can wait up and we can check.
Would be 10 minutes as a ritual.
Well, we have to go. We have many places to be. If you don't trust me to sell you these things, then I'm not going to,
Oh, no,
please
we
don't
trust
insult
you,
me.
Don't worry.
We might want to buy more.
Yeah.
Well, buy your fill. My name is Saffron Shadow Walker. And what I'm doing there is I'm giving you Saffron's facial expressions because she's scamming the shit out of the party. She's a rogue. She's a character that I wanted the party to encounter along the way. And I thought it would be a quick encounter because she has an invisibility spell and she's just going to get the fuck out, right? It doesn't matter. That's why I'm throwing in this counter at the 11th hour. But Mr. Mooten, being the clever man that he is, drinks the potion right away, essentially wasting 30 gold because he's going to heal anyway. And she watches you drinking the potion. You paid her 30 gold, right?
I could have just identified it.
Yeah, I drink it.
Yeah, excellent.
Do I feel any healthier?
Absolutely not, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
And things descend pretty quickly here, right? The party, they know that they've been scammed, but like in character, do they know that they've been scammed? And initiative's getting rolled, and it's a little bit weird that, in 6 seconds, he like drinks this potion, and then everybody draws their weapons and gets ready for a fight right away. But like, he mentioned already that like if this works, we'll buy more. So maybe the rest of the party is sort of suspicious. Maybe as Steermere says, you can like read the room and see what's going on. So I don't think a fight, she like looks on in surprise. She sort of betrays that this is a scam by looking at him like, what the fuck is going on? Why are you drinking this right now? Oh my God, he's catching me in the act. So I don't think it's wild or impossible that this scam gets unveiled here.
I fucking behead her.
As you drink the potion,
I draw my weapon.
And as you drink a fake,
Yeah.
and we get into a little bit of trouble here.
I don't know where my character is. I'll be honest with you.
Just a little bit of trouble.
Hang on. I cast Calm Emotions on my party and her party.
And this is such a baller move by Nick.
You attempt to suppress.
He's trying to calm. He's just trying to like ease over the situation. Really good job, Steermere. Hey, everybody, let's not get into a fight. Nick, by the way, is like exhausted at this point in time. He's got to get up in like 6 hours to catch a train. Like he doesn't have time for this encounter. I didn't think that we would get into an encounter. I figured Saffron would just sell them some fake goods and get the fuck out, and that would be the end of it. But here we are. So yeah. Press strong emotions of a group of people. Each humanoid in 20-foot sphere must make a charisma save. The creature can choose to fail if it wishes.
Want to pass.
Oof.
Master Thief, eh?
Shut up. She can.
All right.
And you shout thievery. That's fine. Combat begins to ensue a little bit.
Like
She has invisibility, and Vasher makes an attack and misses because she's not there anymore. And Mr. Moon frickin' kills this perception roll. Now, an invisible person should be kind of hard to track. But when you're in the sand or you're in the grass, like maybe you might be able to, you're not in like a hardwood floor area. He does a really good job with this perception check. And I honestly think that maybe this perception check should have been an action instead of a free action. But we were so close to the end, and I just I wanted to get things going. I didn't want to stop and argue every little bit. If the party has invisibility and then the enemy just gets to make a free perception check and then follow them to the spot and attack them. But whatever. The woman, she darted off the soft path into the sand to get away and move away from everyone else. So he follows her and he finds her and he hits her and she fails her con save and she is revealed. And then essentially we have to end the game here for the night. And so this is, I believe, where we end for the day. Is the party over here? Yeah. And it's well, it's a tough spot. Saffron Shadowwalker has plenty of HP. She's got plenty of AC. She's fine. She's a master thief. Very initially, the plan was to just rob Roy. The original introduction for her was going to be like, she comes to talk to the party, engages Roy in conversation, pickpockets him, and steals his shit, and then I don't realize it for a little while. But then I wanted to show off her abilities a little bit more, and I wanted to be, have her do something invisible. And then the idea of her like leading a group of people who are also fooled by her was pretty great. Like she's taking these people's money. She's guiding them somewhere, and she's got them playing music so she can sell potions, and they're all in on her being this great hero who's also selling potions. And oh my God, Saffron Shadowwalker, you're so wonderful. And she's scamming the crap out of them all. And then the idea was for them to like steal shit, or for Saffron to steal shit from them, and then scamper away, and then have to like run into Saffron again. Like I didn't want her to hurt the party. I just wanted her to like steal from the party a little bit and then like leave, and it not be a huge hindrance, just like a little pain in the butt, so that way when they see her again, it's like, you scoundrel, and not like, my God, you almost killed us. I wanted to create sort of like a reoccurring, annoying, but almost fun, like rogue who maybe sometimes you can trust and maybe sometimes you can't trust, but like your first interaction with them is like them stealing from you. I'm not sure where we're going to take this encounter. Saffron has some legitimate fighting abilities. She has +7 to hit, does d6 +4 damage, and makes 3 attacks a round at that rate. So she's pretty bomb. I actually think the approach for her is going to be disengage as a bonus action, move, and dash as an action, and just run away. Just run away. Oh, she also has sneak attack, right? For an extra 4d6 damage. So, I think she just might run. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Maybe I want to set up the Saffron, like, you can't trust her, but sometimes you want to work with her vibe. I kind of want that, like, potential ally, but wary potential ally. And so maybe in this situation, when she gets tracked down and found, maybe she offers the party, like, maybe she just gives back the money. Maybe that's the plan. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out. That game is not tomorrow, but the day after. And so that will wrap us up here for Lazarus Expedition. This was a great session. The plans went awry. I didn't get the plan that I wanted. The party didn't get the plan that they wanted. Nobody got the plan that they wanted, but there was a hard challenge and it was creatively overcome. And I had a lot of fun. And I think the party had a lot of fun. Like half these people are sick. We had a short session anyway. I really enjoyed this session. I hope the party also enjoyed this session. And yeah, that's it. That'll be it for this session's director's commentary. We have a game on Tuesday, and I'll see when I can do the next one. In theory, I would like to do the director's commentaries, like, you know, we do the session, we do the behind the scenes Patreon only exclusive stuff. If you join the Save or Die Patreon, you can get the post game show. And then ideally I would just do the director's commentary right after that, but the hours and the timing doesn't work out for me. I actually can't do like a 10-hour block straight. I need to like walk a dog in there somewhere, and it gets late and it's awkward. So I don't know when we're going to get them done, but we'll get them done somewhere. And that's it.